The Cursed Queen. The colony was quiet, but not peaceful. Whispers drifted through the crowded markets and dimly lit streets, passing from one alien to another like an infection. The Leper Queen is cursed, they said. She brings nothing but death. Xalia sat alone in the ruins at the edge of the colony. The building had once been a temple, but now it was nothing more than crumbled stone and faded carvings. This was her home. The others had banished her here years ago, leaving her with nothing but her pain and the silence that followed her everywhere. Her name had been Xalia once, a name full of pride and strength. Now, they only called her the Leper Queen. She pulled her ragged cloak tighter around her thin frame, staring out at the darkening sky. Somewhere out there, beyond the stars, there had to be a place where she wasn't feared. But that hope was as distant as the stars themselves. Meanwhile, at the heart of the colony, a ship landed. It was not sleek or intimidating like the vessels of the ruling species, but it carried a quiet authority. Dr. Liam Carter, a human medic, stepped off the ramp, his medical bag slung over one shoulder. His expression was calm but focused, a man who had seen too much suffering to look away from it now. Humans, someone muttered. Always meddling. Liam ignored the remark and walked into the crowd, his boots crunching against the dusty ground. He had come here as part of a humanitarian mission to assist colonies ravaged by war, disease, and famine. His reputation had preceded him. Some called him a miracle worker, others a fool. But Liam didn't care about opinions. He cared about saving lives. As he made his way through the market, he overheard a conversation between two merchants. They spoke in hushed tones, their voices laced with fear. "She's still alive out there," one said. "The Leper Queen." "She shouldn't be," the other replied. "If she stays, we're all doomed." Liam's ears perked up. "Excuse me," he interrupted. The merchants froze, staring at him like he was mad. "Who is the Leper Queen?" "You don't want to know," the first merchant said, glancing around nervously. "Stay away from her. She's cursed." "Curses aren't real," Liam said firmly. "What's wrong with her?" The second merchant leaned in, whispering, "She has some kind of sickness. Anyone who gets too close, they die. No one knows why. She's been like this for years. It's best if you don't get involved, human." But that was exactly what Liam intended to do. Later that evening, under the cover of darkness, Liam followed the path to the ruins on the outskirts of the colony. The closer he got, the quieter the world seemed, as if even the wind was afraid to breathe here. When he reached the crumbled temple, he hesitated. The air felt heavy, and an unnatural chill ran down his spine. "Who's there?" A voice called out, sharp and defensive. Liam stepped forward slowly, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. "I'm a medic," he said. "My name is Liam Carter. I came to help." The figure emerged from the shadows, and Liam saw her clearly for the first time. Xalia was tall, her body covered in faint glowing scars that pulsed softly in the darkness. Her eyes were fierce but filled with exhaustion, as if she had spent a lifetime fighting a battle she could never win. The cloak around her seemed more like armor, a barrier to keep the world out. "Help," she said bitterly. "There's no help for me. You should leave before it's too late." Liam didn't move. "I've treated a lot of people with strange illnesses," he said. "I'm not afraid." "You should be," Xalia replied. Her voice cracked, and she stepped back, as if trying to protect him from herself. Everyone else was. "I'm not everyone else," Liam said firmly. "Please, let me try." For a moment, Xalia stared at him, her expression unreadable. Then, with a sigh, she turned and motioned for him to follow. "You'll regret this," she said quietly. Inside the ruins, Liam set up his equipment, scanning Xalia with a handheld device. The readings made no sense. Her body emitted strange energy waves that seemed to distort the air around her. He frowned, adjusting the scanner. "This isn't natural," he muttered. "No," Xalia said softly. "It's a curse, or so they say." Liam glanced at her. Do you believe that? She hesitated. I don't know. All I know is that everyone I've ever cared about is gone. And I'm still here, like a ghost they can't get rid of. Liam's chest tightened. There was more to this than disease or superstition. He could feel it. But as he opened his mouth to speak, a distant sound broke the silence. The angry murmur of voices growing closer. The mob had found them. You shouldn't have come here, Xalia said, her voice trembling. Now they'll come for you too. Liam stood, his jaw set. Let them try. I'm not leaving you. Outside, the first torch lit up the night, and the mob's shouts grew louder. The cursed queen had been found. But Liam was not afraid. He had made a choice, and he intended to see it through, no matter the cost. The first meeting. The air in the ruins was thick with tension, the kind that made even silence seem loud. Xalia stood in the shadows, her glowing scars faintly lighting the crumbled walls. She watched Liam warily, her sharp eyes assessing whether he was here to save her, or destroy her like everyone else had tried. Liam wasn't like the others, though. He didn't carry fear in his stance, and his hands didn't tremble as he adjusted his equipment. Instead, he moved with a quiet determination, as if standing this close to death was something he did every day. You've seen too much suffering, Xalia said, breaking the silence. Her voice was hoarse, as if unused to speaking. I can see it in your eyes. Liam glanced up at her, surprised. And you've carried too much pain, he replied, his tone steady. I can see it in yours. The unexpected response caught Xalia off guard. She looked away, her claws tracing the cracks in the stone walls. You shouldn't be here. You don't understand what I am. Liam straightened, holding her gaze. Then help me understand. Her laugh was bitter, like shattered glass. They call me the Leper Queen. What else is there to understand? I'm the monster parents warn their children about. The reason this colony hides in fear. And yet, Liam said, stepping closer, you're the one hiding. Xalia's scars flared briefly, reacting to her frustration. Do you think I want this? She snapped. To live in the ruins like a scavenger. To feel the weight of every life I've ruined. Her voice broke, and she turned away. I didn't choose this. Liam's voice softened. No one chooses to suffer. But sometimes we get a chance to fight back. Her laugh was softer this time, but no less bitter. You're naive. Do you really think you can fix something you don't even understand? I've fixed things people thought were impossible before, he said simply, pulling out his scanner. Let me try. Xalia hesitated, her fingers tightening around the edge of her cloak. You're braver than the rest, she admitted. Or stupider. Probably both, Liam said with a small smile. But brave and stupid is what I'm good at. For the first time in years, Xalia felt something she didn't recognize. It wasn't hope. Not yet. But it was close. Fine, she said, stepping into the light. Do what you came to do, but don't say I didn't warn you. Liam's scanner lit up as he waved it over her, the soft hum filling the still air. The readings were strange, unlike anything he'd seen before. Her body emitted energy waves that seemed to ripple through the space around her, bending the light and distorting the air. This isn't natural, he murmured, studying the data. This is engineered. Engineered? Xalia frowned. What are you saying? I'm saying someone did this to you, Liam said, his voice grim. This isn't a disease. It's a weapon. Xalia froze, her breath catching. Memories flooded back. Fragments of a life she had buried. The ceremony. The betrayal. The chaos that followed. You're lying, she said, but her voice wavered. I'm not, Liam said firmly. And whoever created this didn't just want to hurt you. They wanted to hurt everyone around you. Before Xalia could respond, a faint sound reached them. Footsteps, cautious but steady, echoed through the ruins. Xalia's head snapped toward the noise, her scars pulsing brighter. They've found us, she whispered, backing away. You need to leave. Now. Liam didn't move. I'm not going anywhere. You don't understand, Xalia hissed. If they come too close, if I lose control, then we'll deal with it together, Liam said firmly, his eyes locked on hers. You're not a monster, Xalia, and I'm not leaving you to face this alone. The footsteps grew louder, accompanied by the faint glow of torches in the distance. The mob was closing in. Xalia's breathing quickened, her scars flaring wildly as her emotions surged. Liam, she said, her voice trembling. I don't want to hurt you. You won't, he said calmly, standing between her and the approaching mob. I promise. The first figure appeared at the edge of the ruins, their torch casting long shadows on the broken walls. There she is, someone shouted. Xalia shrank back, her claws digging into the stone. Please, she whispered, her voice breaking. Don't do this. Liam stepped forward, raising his hands. Stop, he shouted, his voice carrying through the night. You don't understand what you're doing. She's cursed, one of the mob cried. If we don't stop her, we'll all die. She's not cursed, Liam said, his voice steady. She's sick, and I'm going to help her. She'll kill you too, human, another voice yelled. Get out of the way. Liam's jaw tightened. No, he said firmly. I won't let you hurt her. The mob hesitated, their torches flickering in the wind. For a moment, silence fell over the ruins, broken only by the distant howl of the wind. Then, one by one, the torches lowered. The mob stepped back, uncertainty in their eyes. Liam turned to Xalia, his expression calm but resolute. See, not everyone wants to destroy you. Xalia stared at him, her glowing scars dimming as her panic subsided. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, she wasn't as alone as she thought. A race against time. The night was suffocatingly still, as if the colony itself was holding its breath. Liam sat in his makeshift clinic, surrounded by advanced medical equipment that looked out of place in the crude, dimly lit room. The air smelled faintly of disinfectant, but the tension made it hard to notice anything else. Xalia sat in the corner, her glowing scars casting faint patterns on the walls. How can you be so calm? Xalia asked, her voice sharp and filled with disbelief. Liam looked up from his datapad, where strange readings from her scans flickered on the screen. Because panicking won't help either of us, he said. Xalia leaned back against the wall, arms crossed. You're not afraid of what I might do. Liam glanced at her, his calm gaze piercing. You've had plenty of chances to hurt me. You didn't. Xalia's scars flickered faintly, betraying her unease. Not yet. Outside, the colony wasn't as calm as the clinic. Rumors about Liam's defiance and his decision to shelter the Leper Queen had spread like wildfire. Angry voices echoed through the narrow streets as the mob gathered strength. But Liam wasn't paying attention to the growing threat outside. His focus was entirely on the readings from his scanner. The data didn't make sense. Xalia's affliction wasn't behaving like any illness or pathogen he'd ever seen. The energy pulsing from her body wasn't random. It was controlled, structured, almost as if it was designed to behave this way. This isn't natural, he murmured to himself. He zoomed in on the readings, his brow furrowing deeper. What do you mean? Xalia asked wearily. Liam hesitated. It's like your condition was created, engineered to spread a specific way, target specific people. Xalia's jaw tightened. Why would anyone do that? I don't know yet, Liam admitted. But I think someone used you as a weapon. And if I'm right, you were never meant to survive. Xalia's breath caught, and her glowing scars flared brighter. They didn't just want me gone, she whispered. They wanted to destroy everyone I cared about. Before Liam could respond, his equipment let out a sharp warning beep. He frowned, leaning closer to the screen. The scanner had picked up a signal, a faint rhythmic pulse coming from Xalia's body. What's that? She asked, her voice tense. Liam's fingers flew across the controls, trying to isolate the signal. "It's some kind of transmitter," he said, his voice tight. "I think it's been sending out a signal this whole time." Xalia's scars flared with panic. A signal to who? Liam didn't have to answer. The colony's emergency alarm began to wail, its shrill cry cutting through the night. Xalia and Liam both froze, their eyes locking. A voice crackled through the colony's outdated speakers, trembling with fear. "Unidentified ship detected," it said, "approaching the colony fast." Xalia's voice was barely a whisper. "They're coming for me." Liam grabbed his bag and began packing supplies. "Then we don't have much time." Xalia stood, her glowing scars now a steady, ominous pulse. "You're not going to run." "No," Liam said without looking up. "But we can't stay here. If they find you, they'll destroy this whole colony to get to you." "And what about you?" she asked, her voice trembling. "If they catch you helping me." "Then I'll deal with it," Liam said, cutting her off. "Right now, the only thing that matters is keeping you safe." Xalia stared at him, her disbelief melting into something she hadn't felt in years. "Trust. What's the plan?" Liam slung his bag over his shoulder. "We head to the colony's shield generator. If we can boost the shield frequency, we might be able to block their ship's scanners. It'll buy us time." "And if we fail?" Xalia asked. Liam gave her a small, determined smile. "Then we'll figure something else out." They slipped out of the clinic through a back entrance, avoiding the growing mob outside. The streets were eerily quiet, save for the distant sound of the alarm. The sky above them was dark, but a faint, menacing glow on the horizon signaled the arrival of the ship. As they made their way through the twisting alleys, Xalia couldn't shake the feeling that every shadow was watching her. Every sound was a threat. She had spent so long hiding from her own people, but now it felt like the universe itself was hunting her down. When they reached the shield generator, Liam immediately began working, his hands moving quickly over the controls. Xalia kept watch, her glowing scars providing just enough light to see. "What's taking so long?" she asked, her voice strained. "This system is ancient," Liam muttered. "I need to bypass half the controls just to get it to work." Before Xalia could respond, a low rumble echoed through the air. The ground beneath them trembled, and a cold dread settled in her chest. She turned toward the sky, her glowing scars flaring brighter. "They're here," she whispered. Liam didn't look up. "Keep watch. I'm almost there." The ship appeared moments later, a massive angular vessel that blotted out the stars. Its lights swept over the colony like searchlights, scanning for its target. Xalia's scars pulsed rapidly, reacting to the proximity of the ship. "Liam," she said, her voice shaking. "They'll find us." "Not if I can help it," he said, his voice calm despite the chaos. He hit one final button, and the shield generator roared to life, sending a shimmering barrier over the colony. The ship's lights faltered as its scanners were disrupted. "It worked," Liam said, exhaling in relief. Xalia stared at him, a mix of awe and gratitude in her eyes. "You're insane," she said, "but thank you." Before Liam could respond, a sharp noise cut through the air, a voice from the ship, amplified and cold. "Xalia," it said, "surrender now, or we will destroy the colony." Liam's expression hardened. "They won't stop, will they?" Xalia shook her head. "No, and if I stay, they'll kill everyone." Liam placed a hand on her shoulder, his voice firm. "We're not giving up. Not yet." The hunt had begun, and time was running out. But Liam wasn't ready to quit, not when Xalia's life hung in the balance. The truth uncovered. The silence of the makeshift clinic was broken only by the soft hum of Liam's datavat. The glow of the screen illuminated his face, etched with determination and frustration. Across the room, Xalia sat in the shadows, her glowing scars dim, like embers losing their fire. She didn't ask what he was doing. she had stopped asking hours ago. Finally, Liam leaned back, running a hand through his disheveled hair. "I think I found something," he said, breaking the silence. Zalia lifted her head, her glowing eyes reflecting the light of his screen. "What is it?" Liam turned the datapad toward her, showing a complex pattern of codes and diagrams. "This isn't just a random affliction," he said. "It's a bioweapon tailored to your species. It's designed to spread through touch and proximity, but it doesn't stop there." "What do you mean?" Zalia asked, her voice low, as if afraid of the answer. "This weapon doesn't just harm those it infects," Liam explained. "It amplifies over time, turning its host into a beacon, a transmitter. It draws its creators back to the source." Zalia's scars flared briefly, mirroring the surge of panic in her chest. "So, they've always known where I am," she whispered. "They've been waiting." Liam nodded grimly. "It explains why their ship came so quickly. The signal was meant to guide them back to you. And now that they're here, they won't leave without finishing what they started." Zalia stood abruptly, pacing the small room. "Why would anyone create something like this? To destroy my people? To make me a weapon?" Her voice cracked, her scars flickering with raw emotion. Liam hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "It's not just about your people. Whoever made this didn't just want to hurt. They wanted control. Fear is a powerful tool. If they could turn someone as respected as you into a living plague, they could destabilize entire systems." Zalia's steps faltered. "I was respected," she said softly. "Before this. Before they turned me into this." Liam rose, closing the distance between them. "This wasn't your fault, Zalia. You were their victim, not their accomplice." Before she could reply, the clinic lights flickered, and the ground trembled faintly. Both of them froze, the unspoken question hanging between them. Then the emergency alarms blared, echoing through the colony. "They've breached the shields," Zalia said, her voice tense. "They're coming." Liam grabbed his bag, checking its contents with practiced efficiency. "We can't stay here. If they find you, if they find me, they'll kill everyone," Zalia interrupted. She stepped toward him, her glowing scars brighter than before. "I can't let that happen, and I can't let them take you," Liam said, his voice firm. "We're going to figure this out, but first, we need to move." The two slipped out of the clinic into the night. The once bustling colony was eerily silent, its streets deserted as people hid in their homes, fearing the arrival of the unknown ship. Overhead, the sky was dark, save for the faint glow of the invader's vessel hovering ominously above. As they made their way through the narrow alleys, Zalia couldn't shake the weight of Liam's words. A bioweapon. A transmitter. The idea that she had been used as a tool to destroy her own people was almost too much to bear. When they reached the outskirts of the colony, Liam stopped, pulling Zalia into the shadows. "We need to get to the communications tower," he said. "If I can access their systems, I might be able to disrupt their link to you." "And if you can't?" Zalia asked. "Then we'll improvise," Liam said, flashing a brief, determined smile. The journey to the tower was tense, every shadow a potential threat. The ship's searchlights swept over the ground, moving methodically as the invaders hunted for their target. Zalia's scars pulsed faintly, reacting to the proximity of the danger. When they finally reached the base of the tower, Liam began climbing the rickety ladder without hesitation. Zalia followed, her claws gripping the metal tightly. The higher they climbed, the more the wind howled around them, carrying with it the distant hum of the ship. At the top, Liam quickly connected his datapad to the tower's control panel, his fingers flying over the keys. The screen filled with lines of code, and Zalia watched silently, her breath fogging in the cold air. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Trying to isolate their signal," Liam said without looking up. "If I can figure out how they're tracking you, I might be able to block it." "And if you can't?" she pressed. Liam paused, meeting her gaze. Then we'll figure something else out." Before he could continue, the tower shook violently, and a deafening roar filled the air. The ship had fired a warning shot, its weapons barely missing the structure. Zalia gripped the railing tightly, her glowing scars now a bright, steady light. "They're not going to wait much longer," she said. Liam nodded, his focus unwavering. "Then neither will I." As the invader's ship loomed closer, Liam's screen flashed green, signaling success. "Got it," he said, a hint of triumph in his voice. "Their link to you is severed, at least for now." But before they could celebrate, a new sound pierced the night, the unmistakable hum of transport pods descending from the ship. The hunters had arrived on the ground. Zalia turned to Liam, her expression grim. "This isn't over." "No," Liam agreed, his jaw set. "It's just beginning." The hunters arrive. The colony was silent, holding its breath under the looming shadow of the purifier ship. Its massive angular frame hung in the sky, like a vulture waiting for its prey to falter. On the ground, the faint hum of transport pods shattered the eerie quiet, announcing the arrival of the hunters. Zalia and Liam crouched behind a half-collapsed wall near the outskirts of the colony. The searchlights from the ship swept across the desolate streets, and the rhythmic thud of boots on the ground drew closer. "They're here," Zalia whispered, her glowing scars flaring faintly, betraying her fear. Liam glanced at her, his face calm but resolute. "Then we don't have much time." The transport pods landed with a heavy thud, releasing sleek, armored figures into the night. The purifiers were unnervingly precise, their movements coordinated like a hive mind. Each carried weapons that glinted under the harsh light, their purpose clear. Zalia's hands tightened into fists. "They won't stop until they have me, or until everything here is destroyed." Liam scanned the area, his mind racing. "Then we'll make sure they don't get either." As the purifiers spread out, Liam activated his datapad, the screen glowing faintly in the darkness. "If I can hack into their pod's communication system, I might be able to delay them, scramble their signals, buy us some time." Zalia's glowing scars pulsed brighter. "They're not like the mob," she said. "You can't talk them down, Liam. They're soldiers, merciless." "Good thing I'm not planning on talking," Liam muttered, his fingers flying across the screen. From their position, they could see one of the squads sweeping a nearby street. The purifiers moved with eerie silence, their visors scanning every shadow. Zalia's breath caught as one of the lights swept dangerously close to their hiding spot. "They're getting closer," she whispered. "Keep them busy," Liam said, not looking up. "I need a few more minutes." Zalia stared at him, her glowing eyes narrowing. "Keep them busy. You want me to?" Before she could finish, the sound of a distant crash split the air. One of the purifier's transport pods exploded in a fiery burst, sending metal debris flying across the colony's edge. The explosion lit up the night, casting long shadows over the crumbled ruins. Zalia's head whipped toward the source of the chaos. "What was that?" Liam smirked. "I may have triggered an override on one of their landing systems. Call it a distraction." The purifiers immediately shifted their focus, converging on the burning wreckage. The squad nearest to Liam and Zalia broke formation, moving toward the explosion with weapons raised. "That bought us some time," Liam said, standing and motioning for Zalia to follow. "Let's move before they figure out where we are." They slipped through the ruins, keeping to the shadows. Zalia's glowing scars dimmed as she focused on controlling her emotions, knowing that any flare of light could give away their position. Her body felt like a ticking bomb, and the weight of the bioweapon inside her was suffocating. As they reached the edge of the colony, Liam's datapad emitted a sharp beep. He glanced at the screen, his expression darkening. "They're adapting faster than I expected," he muttered. "They've locked down the area and are scanning for life forms." Zalia's voice was steady but grim. "You can't stop them, Liam. You've done enough. Leave me and save yourself." "Not a chance," Liam said without hesitation. "We're in this together." Before Xalia could protest, a voice boomed through the colony, amplified by the purifier ship. It was cold, mechanical, and devoid of emotion. "Xalia," the voice said, echoing through the ruins. "You cannot escape. Surrender now, and the colony will remain unharmed. Resist, and we will leave no survivors." The words hit Xalia like a physical blow. She turned to Liam, her glowing scars flaring with anger and despair. "They'll kill everyone if I stay." "They'll kill everyone anyway," Liam said. "You're just their excuse." Xalia shook her head, tears glistening in her glowing eyes. "I won't let them use me to destroy more lives." Liam stepped closer, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Then we fight. Together." The sound of boots grew louder, the purifiers closing in on their location. Liam's mind raced, trying to come up with a plan, but the odds were against them. The purifiers were relentless, and Xalia's presence was like a beacon drawing them closer. Xalia's glowing scars brightened as she stepped forward, a fierce determination replacing her fear. "If they want me, they'll have to fight for it." Liam frowned. "What are you doing?" "Giving you time," Xalia said, her voice steady. "You said we'd fight together. So let's start now." Before Liam could stop her, Xalia stepped into the open, her glowing scars illuminating the dark street like a beacon. The purifiers froze, their visors locking onto her instantly. "There she is," one of them shouted, raising a weapon. Liam clenched his fists, stepping out behind her. "If you're going, then so am I," he said, his voice defiant. The purifiers moved in unison, their weapons trained on the pair. Xalia's glowing scars pulsed brighter, a mix of fear and resolve fueling her. As the first shot rang out, the battle for survival truly began. A desperate plan. The air inside the abandoned structure crackled with tension. Xalia sat in the corner, her glowing scars dim but unsteady, like a flickering candle fighting against the wind. Outside, the purifier ship loomed over the colony, its harsh lights cutting through the darkness. Liam worked furiously at a makeshift workstation, his tools scattered across the table, his face set with grim determination. "This isn't going to hold them off much longer," Xalia said, her voice strained. She glanced toward the boarded-up windows, where faint echoes of heavy boots rang in the distance. "It doesn't have to," Liam replied, not looking up. "I'm not trying to hold them off. I'm trying to stop this at the source." Xalia tilted her head, her glowing eyes narrowing. "What do you mean?" Liam paused, his fingers hovering over the datapad. "I've been analyzing the bioweapon in your system," he began, his voice steady but urgent. "It's not just a weapon. It's a networked system, a hive. Whoever created it built in a failsafe to control the infection, maybe even reverse it." Xalia's scars flared brighter, her heart pounding. "You think you can stop it? Neutralize it?" "I think I can try," Liam said, turning to face her. "But it's risky. If I mess this up, it could destabilize the bioweapon entirely. The energy inside you could. Well, let's just say it won't be pretty." "Meaning I'd die," Xalia said bluntly. Liam hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, and it could take half the colony with you." Xalia let out a bitter laugh, shaking her head. "You humans have a funny way of offering hope." "It's not hope, it's a choice," Liam said, his voice firm. "I won't force you into this, but if you're willing to try, it could work. It's your life. Xalia, your decision." For a long moment, Xalia was silent, staring at the glowing scars on her arms. They had been a curse, a prison, a reminder of everything she had lost. But now, for the first time, she saw something else in them, a chance to fight back. "I've spent years running, hiding," she said quietly. "If this is the end, then at least let it mean something." Liam nodded, his respect for her growing. "Then let's make it count." He began setting up the equipment, connecting wires, and calibrating devices with practiced precision. Talia sat on the chair he had pulled into the center of the room, her glowing scars casting faint patterns on the walls. "Tell me the truth," she said, watching him work. "Do you really think this will save me?" "I don't know," Liam admitted, "but I believe it's worth trying." Zalia smiled faintly. "You're braver than you look, human." Before Liam could reply, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed from the street outside. The purifiers were closing in. Liam's hands moved faster, his mind racing. "Whatever happens, don't move," he said, his voice sharp. "This process will be painful, but you have to stay still." Zalia nodded, her glowing scars brightening as she steadied her breathing. "Just do it." The machine hummed to life, sending a surge of energy through the air. Liam placed a small device against Zalia's chest, its sensors locking onto the bioweapon's core. The glow from her scars intensified, pulsing in time with the machine's rhythm. "Here we go," Liam muttered, initiating the sequence. Zalia's body tensed as the energy from the machine coursed through her, amplifying the already volatile aura surrounding her. She gritted her teeth, her claws digging into the armrests of the chair. "It's working," Liam said, his eyes glued to the screen. "The bioweapon is destabilizing. I just need a little more time." The door burst open, and the purifiers stormed in, their weapons raised. "Step away from her," one of them barked, their voice cold and mechanical. Liam stepped in front of Zalia, shielding her with his body. "If you shoot, you'll trigger the energy field," he said. "You'll kill us all." The purifiers hesitated, their visors flickering as they processed the data. One of them lowered their weapons slightly. "Surrender the subject. We'll neutralize the threat." "She's not a threat," Liam snapped. "She's a victim of your experiments." "She's a weapon," the leader said, stepping forward. "Nothing more." Zalia's glowing scars flared brighter, the energy from the machine pushing her body to its limits. "I'm not a weapon," she said, her voice trembling but fierce. "I'm not yours to control." Before the purifiers could respond, the machine emitted a sharp, high-pitched whine. Liam glanced at the screen, his heart sinking. The energy levels were spiking, unstable and dangerous. "Liam." Zalia gasped, her voice strained. "I can't hold it." "You don't have to," Liam said, moving quickly to stabilize the system. "Just a few more seconds." The purifiers moved closer, their weapons aimed at both of them. Time was running out. But Liam wasn't giving up. Not yet. Not when Zalia's life hung in the balance. The Leper Queen's redemption. The room vibrated with the energy of the destabilizing machine. Zalia sat in the chair, her glowing scars now a blinding beacon of light, flickering like a star on the verge of collapse. The purifiers stood frozen, their weapons aimed but their movements hesitant. Even they seemed unsure of what to do in the face of the raw, volatile power emanating from her. Liam stood between Zalia and the purifiers, his hands clenched into fists. "If you fire, you'll trigger an explosion that will wipe out this entire colony," he warned. "Walk away now. You can't control her anymore." "She's a weapon," the lead purifier said, his voice cold and unyielding. "We don't walk away from weapons." Zalia's voice broke through the tense silence, trembling but defiant. "I'm not a weapon. Not anymore." Her glowing scars pulsed brighter, and the energy field around her expanded, crackling like a storm contained in her fragile body. Liam glanced at her, his expression torn between hope and fear. "Zalia," he said, his voice steady despite the chaos. "You don't have to fight alone. Let me help you." She looked at him, her glowing eyes filled with a mix of pain and resolve. "You've already done enough, Liam. If this is the end, I'll make sure it means something." Before Liam could respond, the machine emitted a sharp, deafening whine. The energy levels had reached critical, and the air around them shimmered with heat and light. The purifiers began to retreat, their precision faltering for the first time. "Shut it down," one of them barked, panic creeping into their mechanical tone. "It's going to blow." But Liam didn't move to shut it down. Instead, he stepped closer to Xalia, placing a hand on her shoulder. "I'm not leaving you," he said firmly. "We'll finish this together." Xalia's glowing scars pulsed one final time, brighter than the sun, and she closed her eyes. "Then let's end it." With a sudden burst of strength, Xalia reached deep within herself, pulling at the volatile energy that had consumed her for years. Her body shook as she redirected the power, focusing it outward, away from the colony. The purifiers scrambled for cover as the light grew brighter and hotter, the ground trembling beneath them. Liam shielded his eyes, the heat pressing against his skin. "Xalia, stop. You'll—" "I can control it," she said through gritted teeth. Her voice was steady, powerful. For the first time, she wasn't running from the energy. She was mastering it. With a scream that echoed through the ruins, Xalia released the energy in a massive, controlled wave. The shock wave knocked the purifiers to the ground, short-circuiting their weapons and disabling their ship hovering above. The ground shook violently, and then, as suddenly as it had begun, everything fell silent. When the light faded, Xalia collapsed into the chair, her glowing scars dimmed to faint lines on her skin. Her breathing was shallow but steady. Liam rushed to her side, his heart pounding. "Xalia," he said, kneeling beside her, "are you okay?" She opened her eyes, weak but alive, and gave him a faint smile. "I told you. I could control it." The purifiers lay scattered on the ground, their weapons useless, their ship powerless. The colony emerged from their hiding places, their faces a mix of awe and disbelief. The Leper Queen had saved them. Liam stood, turning to face the purifiers. "You've lost," he said, his voice steady. "Leave this colony and never come back." The lead purifier struggled to his feet, his visor cracked. He looked at Xalia, then at Liam, and for the first time, there was hesitation in his movements. Without a word, he motioned for his squad to retreat. One by one, they boarded their damaged transport pods and disappeared into the night. As the last pod lifted off, the colony erupted in cheers. But Liam's focus remained on Xalia. He helped her to her feet, his expression a mixture of relief and pride. "You did it," he said softly. Xalia nodded, her voice barely above a whisper. "We did it." In the days that followed, the colony rebuilt, and the whispers about the Leper Queen began to change. No longer a figure of fear, Xalia became a symbol of strength and redemption. The scars that had once marked her as a monster were now seen as proof of her courage. As Liam prepared to leave the colony, Xalia met him at the edge of the ruins. "Are you sure you have to go?" she asked, her voice carrying a hint of sadness. Liam smiled. "There are other places that need help, but I'll be back." Xalia nodded, her glowing scars faint but steady. "You'll always have a home here." As Liam boarded his ship, he looked back at Xalia standing tall in the ruins, her scars glowing softly against the rising sun. She wasn't the Leper Queen anymore. She was Xalia, and she had found her place among her people once again.